Hi, and welcome to the Lone Star Play podcast, where we sit, eat, chat, and repeat. I'm your host, Patrick Scott Armstrong, and we are coming to you from Austin, Texas. The Lone Star Play podcast is produced by Texas Real Food. Go to texasrealfood.com, and you can search your city for local restaurants, stores, butchers, farmers markets, and more who are using organic, fresh, artisanal, and local sources. It's a fun site that brings all natural options all together. All right, and thank you for joining me today for another great episode. I have Chef Jon Thompson in the house. Okay, so Chef Jon and I go back a ways. We used to work together for Stephen Piles up in Dallas back in like 2012, 13, 2014. That area, that time period, excuse me. So, and basically, Jon was recently the head chef for Zaytinya, which was José Andrés, the famous chef. He had a restaurant there in Dallas, Zaytinya. It was based off of a place that he had in D.C., and it was basically like Mediterranean food and whatnot. Amazing place. It was so popular, and they recently had to shut down, unfortunately, not because of the COVID. I mean, maybe we'll talk to him about it. I don't think so. It was way before that. But so we're just going to find out what Chef Jon is up to, what he's doing, what he thinks about, what's happening right now, what's going to happen to the industry. Really, he's got such a great resume. He's worked with so many amazing chefs. He is an amazing chef. And he's got great insight on what is happening in the industry and what maybe the future of the industry is. So I'm really curious to just get his thoughts, his opinions, about everything that's happening. Because look, chefs are suffering right now. Restaurants are suffering, and chefs are leaders, right, in the kitchen. Everybody looks to them, so it's got to be really difficult for them right now. It's just they're the captains of the ship, right, and all the ships are sinking. So do you go down with the ship, right? What are chefs doing? What can they do? What ways are they pivoting, and how this market is going to change moving forward, and what sort of strategies chefs use to create food for you? The supply chains are hemorrhaging, right? So except for the local ones, those are doing great. So, exactly what's going to happen, so there's definitely a lot of things to discuss. And I'm very excited to talk to Jon about it. So sit back, enjoy, grab something to drink, or whatever, and enjoy the episode. All right. Let's talk about that, man. Let's just dive deep into this, dude. Like, absolutely, there's been something that just came out of nowhere and put our industry on its knees in a way that's never happened before, right? So it was just no way to react, not really know what to do, and it's still like that, right? Everything's still in limbo. Everything's still all over the place because all the states are opening at different paces as well, and some of the supply chains come from different states, and everything's connected, so everything's working very oddly. So, well, first of all, I just want to get wherever you want to start. Like, if you have any just thoughts you want to get going with, we'll just go with it, man. So, just curious where, yeah.
Man, you just like looking back at things, I think we all kind of knew there was a recession coming. I think we were this period where it was the longest amount of time between, major economic downturns. We've been on this incredible streak for years now. So you knew something was kind of looming. It was going to happen sooner or later. And I think most of us recognized that there was a restaurant bubble anyway, that there's too many restaurants. There's not enough, cooks to go around, not enough managers to go around, not enough chefs to go around, and not enough customers to go around. So it seemed like a perfect storm for a restaurant bubble to burst. But I don't think anybody ever anticipated it being so restaurant specific, in the way that this COVID and quarantining manifested itself to just gut restaurants. And we're not done with that process yet, right? So if you have a small restaurant right now and you have a landlord who's probably being pretty cool with you right now, because what is he going to do? Kick you out? Nobody else is going to come in right now. Yeah. So they're letting you slide on your your rent until things start to open up. And then they're going to say, oh, well, business is back, time for you to start paying that rent check. But I just don't know how that's going to play out for a lot of these guys, So I know a lot of restaurants, they're trying to reconcile right now where we're standing is the 50% occupancy, but also obeying the social distancing rules. You can't fit 50% of people in anyway. So, maybe you can fit a third, maybe you're still stuck at 25%, but most people couldn't survive when they were allowed to seat 100% anyway. Like, great, 50%, fantastic. So rent's going to start coming due. People are going to default on rent. And I think you're going to see a mass of restaurant closures in a month or two after things are open fully, whenever that happens, where people just can't make rent anymore, enough customers don't come out or whatever. There could be, one more major round of wipeouts yet to come. So brace yourselves. I mean, the guys that are going to make it right now are just chains, places that can get lines of credit. It's just a shame for our industry, which is already too, in my opinion, as an individual chef, too chain heavy, and would love to see more individual restaurants and entrepreneurial people and a creative spirit. And it's just like those are the ones that are getting wiped out, unfortunately.
Yeah. Why is it, you think it's really because of that? Like the chains have access to, other funding and lines of credit, like you said, and maybe even branding that, the smaller ones can't pivot to or whatever. Right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're able to better advertise their to-go format currently and get people to seek them out. But I think most of it is just the access to institutional lending, being able to go to bank and say, look, we're a huge company, we're worth billions of dollars, we just need some help, and they'll get it. Whereas if you're a small restaurant, you're likely not going to get any of that.
Yeah. And on top of that, being a small place, right? And you've had your own restaurant, right? With Sugar Bacon, like, plus you've just worked for a lot of smaller places, right? Like, so that time is of the essence. So you might not even have the time to head to this institution, right? To fill out the application and do all these things that they're asking you to do, right? Because you've got to go shopping, you've got to cook, you've got to, like you said, you wear many hats in these smaller businesses. So even that's a burden, right? Even just the time, effort. Like I remember this one, the reason I bring that is because I talked to this one, owner of a place called Farm to Table TX. Have you heard of Farm to Table? They use them up in Dallas, I'm pretty sure.
I think so, yeah.
And so I was talking to the co-founder of that place. His name is Sam Lash. And so he said, look, to be honest with you, Patrick, like we lost 90% of our business overnight. Like when the shutdown happened, all the Dallas restaurants, Austin and Houston, just immediately, nobody put in their Monday orders, right? Which is where the big orders come in for the weekend. And he said, to be honest with you, I lost 90% of my business, but I'm working 3 times as much as I was working before. Because I'm on the phone, I'm, here, there, I'm just trying to make things work. And I'm actually working way more than I ever was. And it's stretching me. I don't have time to do some of these things that are being asked of me to try to get help for funding and stuff. That's another problem that's, it's just weirdly overlooked. But yes, man, it's just so, I just feel so bad for these places, these, like you said, these smaller places, they just don't have a shoulder to lean on, really. Like you said, the funding. I mean, there's just so many parts of it. The funding, the deep employee base that you can lean on to, advice, right, that you could get from people. God, it's so much, man. It's really depressing. And what do you think a small business, like, let's say you had a business right now and it was, what would you be doing to combat this right now?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I mean, there's only so much you're even allowed to do.
That's true.
It seems like, do you go after that like little bit of delivery business that you can get? How do you get word out about that? It's really, really tough if you don't have a locked in strong support, like through, I don't know, social media, or a bunch of people that are on your page that actively support your restaurant, that you can get word out to. I don't know how else a small guy can do it right now. That's the best path I can think of. You know, some of the other ways people have gotten news out about their establishment is by, doing charitable things and turning their restaurants, like Jose does. He's just turned every restaurant into, José Andrés turned all of his restaurants into basically soup kitchens to help feed people in the city and things like that, to keep you on people's radar. And I don't think he does it for marketing. I think he's a different kind of guy, but that's what other restaurants, can turn themselves into the good guys, and try and help somebody out. And in the meantime, keep your name on top of people's minds.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
What about to go curbside?
That's another big industry issue, right? Like curbside is I think that's great. Right now people don't have much better stuff to do than just drive and pick up stuff anyway. So skip the Grubhub, the Uber Eats, and all that stuff that's just crushing restaurants anyway. You don't make any money selling that stuff. Those sort of services were never intended to be like your lifeline. They were just meant to like, oh, you don't really do to go, but we'll kind of do to go with you, and you'll stay busy, but you're not going to make much money off of it. And now that seems to be what a lot of people are left with, is that one option, because they weren't set up to deliver food. They never intended to deliver food. But obviously, if you can find a restaurant on there, great, find a restaurant on one of those sites, but just call them and order directly from them and go pick it up curbside. I think some people are doing all right with that. Some foods travel better than others. So
yeah, that's a great point.
Tailor your menu to those sort of things. You might have to scrap what you normally want to do in order to do something that travels well.
Yeah. What are the, some of these, right? Like some of these fine dining, but I mean, just the places you work, right? Like some of these dishes, they're not meant to travel. Like, you're carrying it to the table like, oh God, please don't let that little thing fall off of the top. You know what I mean? You're just like, how is that supposed to get, to the home 30 minutes later, 45 minutes later, right? Yeah. Even that. Ugh.
Yeah, you're already watching the food runner like a hawk to make sure like he doesn't tilt the plate just a little bit. Totally. Now it's got to go in a box and drive. And that's always been like an issue where we would see other restaurants, and this was kind of a looming trend anyway, of so many people doing to-go stuff, especially at lunch these days. People don't have the budget to sit down and eat out, and they don't have the time to sit down and eat out. So they were going to Grubhub and Uber Eats and bring it into the office, and they were ordering food off of our regular menu, but we didn't want that to get boxed up to go like that. We knew it wasn't going to be a good experience for them. They probably weren't going to order from us again.
Yeah.
So you have to really consider what it's going to be, and the textures are really important, and the presentation is really important for what you can and can't do on a plate and in a box.
Totally. What do you think about the deconstructed sort of meal? Like in Austin, I've been seeing these restaurants that, provide food like that, right? That can't really be delivered or boxed up. So they're doing these sort of deconstructed meals, right? Where they sort of, par everything out, and it's portioned and little baggies, and you sort of do the last, 3 to 4 steps, if you will. I don't know. What do you think about that? So it seems interesting.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's kind of like a Blue Apron-ish method, right? Yeah. You get the food and you sort of assemble it. Yeah, I think that's great. I was doing some cooking for just a few friends and family, and I kind of do the same thing. Like, okay, here's your sauce, or here's your protein, whatever, and when you want it, just combine it and heat it up. Those things are good, and I think that's a great way to utilize a chef's talent. So you can get some better tasting food in a short period of time and support the restaurant. That's very good. I assume that's totally going away after this is all done, that's not going to be a thing that sticks around, but who knows? Maybe that's one of those developments that comes up after this. People are now maybe getting used to sitting around the family dinner table again for the first time
Yeah.
in like years, and maybe they're enjoying it. Some of them are, I'm sure, sick of it, but
Yeah.
some people have got to be enjoying it, you know?
Sure. That's a great point, man. I have not even thought about that. That is a great point, man. You're right. People are finally, they're back to sitting around the table eating with each other again.
Yeah.
You're right.
In a lot of ways, this time looks more like what a normal life should maybe look like than any life I've ever really led in my adult life. I've been working in the restaurants. I'm always gone at night, and sitting down and having a dinner together and doing like game night or whatever afterwards, that wasn't like a thing. Like, it doesn't happen, but that sounds like a normal life, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So it's funny how this has like brought out some aspects of normality that didn't exist.
How has that been for you? Like being able, well, let's dive a little bit deeper into that. Like you've been able to, because a chef's life is, right, you're not around on holidays or weekends or whatever, right? The normal person's, like you said, having dinner on a Wednesday night and then playing, Monopoly or something. Like, when's the last time you did something like that? So yeah, that is kind of crazy. So what's that been like?
It's been great in a lot of ways. Yeah. Like, I've got a son in kindergarten. So, for us, my wife is still able to work from home. She already kind of worked from home half the time anyway. So she's been able to transition to something that's relatively like normal life, but she can't have any part of watching our son. She's on the phone in meetings pretty much all day. So I'm teaching him his kindergarten. They send us a lesson plan. I teach him, spend like half the day doing that, then half the day doing, taught him how to ride his bike or go play in the playground and swim if it's nice enough, that sort of stuff. So that's been great because, my typical life with my son before this was get him up in the morning, drive him to school, drop him off, and then maybe, just maybe, I make it home in time to like do a good night story. And that was like our day together, 40 minutes, maybe, maybe an hour. So now it's like all day, every day. So for him, he's going to remember this, I think pretty fondly. So that part has been great. That, and just the cooking, although, the budgets are tighter these days than what, I would love to be doing if I had all this free time to cook and just throw down some crazy food.
Yeah, but that's interesting. Yeah, that's true.
You flex some different home cooking muscles and you work at like, what can I dive into the pantry and like find right now?
What is an amazing chef such as yourself? That's what people want to know. What are you eating at home during this time, right? Because
all sorts of stuff. It seems that here we've been able to the shelves haven't been too emptied outside the first like week or two. We've been doing all right. My parents on the East Coast, they're like, hey, sometimes we go to the store, there's no meat. It's like that hasn't happened here.
Yeah.
We've been doing all right here with what we can get our hands on. But honestly, I've been doing a lot more baking than I typically would do. So on my days off, I might normally make a thing or two, but this amount of time I usually don't have. So I'm doing a lot of more like hand-rolled pastas and homemade puff pastries and stuff like that. And once I get a puff pastry in my hands, then I turn that into like a kind of a pizza sort of thing with whatever I can find around the house. So that's something we really enjoyed. So I've been making a lot of puff pastry, turn into empanadas, turn it into pizza or a dessert or whatever. So yeah, the baking is not something I typically am like, all right, great, I've got hours to turn this stuff out. It doesn't happen so much.
Totally. Yeah, baking takes quite a lot longer, right, than just cooking something. God, that's so interesting. I love how you're just, I'm making some hand rolled pasta. People listening like, I'm not fucking making hand rolled pasta. Like, I love that. That's like the bottom level for you. Like, well, I'm really just, doing, kicking it, just like normal every day. Because this is what's funny, man. It's like, and I'm sure this, right? People probably assume at home, that you're eating foams and this and that all the time. You know what I mean? Like just Wagyu steaks, right? Just like everything the best all the time. And it's like, no, man, chefs and you're right, they eat you'll have a mac and cheese, right? I mean,
Sure.
you're still eating whatever, but at the same time, you can't help but be a chef, right? At the same time, you still like, you make a sandwich and just a normal person makes a sandwich, right? It's not even close. Like that's what's great about being a chef. You could take bologna and just make something like, amazing with it. Which I think is great, man. What a great talent right now to have while you're at home quarantining, do like budgeting and right. Joss must be excited cooking.
Yeah, she loves it.
Right? Yeah. She's a great cook too, though. So you guys are both get good food. But yeah, that's great. And what's really great is that you get to spend so much time with your son, man. I know that's got to be just an amazing thing, to do, to just be with him all the time and hang out and just see him. See the little personality. I'm sure that working all those long hours as a chef, and the last time we were together, that's something we talked about, right? Like the life that you have to live as a chef is very demanding, and you do have to sacrifice some things that normal people in a normal office job, they just don't have to sacrifice. It's just bottom line. But it's a passion, right, for the food and the industry and servicing and providing healthy options for people that it's what we do. So like, what's your step, now, John? Like, what are you thinking about now? Like, what's your game plan? Or I don't know.
So when this hit, I was working on opening a new restaurant. It's called Yardbird. And it's a small, like you can call it a small chain. They have one in Miami is the original. They have one in Las Vegas in the Venetian, and LA, and now the next one in the US was coming here to Dallas. So it's very good Southern comfort food style restaurant. Beautiful spot right off the Clyde Warren Park. And we were set to open, we were going to do friends and family on Monday, and I guess the COVID shutdown announcement happened on a Friday. So it was like that close to getting the doors open.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's like,
we're
not going to start and do delivery. Because, in the beginning, I don't even think there was delivery at first. I forget what happened. But
I can't remember.
We just shut down. So, we had this fridge full of food. We thought, okay, maybe 2-3 weeks, this will all blow over and we'll be back. But, let's give our perishable stuff away to all of our cooks. It's funny, you mentioned like bologna. After the cooks like emptied everything, we had some mortadella left in the walk-in. It was like the last thing in there, and I took like this like block of like mortadella home and making fried bologna sandwiches like every day. I grind it up and put it in my bolognese and my meat sauce. So like,
I knew you would do something creative with it. I knew it. I love that. That's awesome.
But yeah, I was like, I don't know if I can eat 5 pounds of this. But I mean, that's what was going to happen. So, so we're still kind of in limbo. Nobody wants to do their grand opening to do this curbside stuff. Like you get one chance to do a good first impression. So, we got to just wait, I guess, until the right time. And I suppose if the landlord's going to be cool with, letting us slowly walk this in, then that's what we'll do when we can really open, because, they built this to be a nice splashy restaurant right in the heart of downtown, a great spot. And, nobody wants to tiptoe into that. You want to strut. So we got time to do that. So.
Dang, that's God, the timing of that, right? I'm so sorry, John. Like, and I know how hard you work on places, man. I just know the effort you put into menus and research and, whatever you're doing, right? So like, oh man, that's just heartbreaking, dude, and what a horrible, God, the coincidence of that, right? Just the timing.
Yeah.
Jesus, like unprecedented. And I think, you brought up a really good point, which was at the beginning, y'all didn't know how long it was going to last. So you made certain business decisions. This is only going to be a couple of weeks, right? So let's start doing this, and this. And I think that's what's been the biggest hurdle for people during this is the unpredictability of the timeline of all this. So it's hard to plan ahead. It's hard to know what to do and what to tell people. Everything's, I don't know, just stay on alert, right? Just stay on the phone, just be on call. We don't know. We're waiting, right? And I think that's just the biggest hurdle, right? What do you think about that? It's just,
yeah, it's, I get cooks calling me, oh, what's going on? It's like, you get the same news I do, man. Look,
yeah,
what's the governor saying? It's like you're just waiting for the next press moment and analyzing it and figuring out what to do with that information. And, everybody else's guess is as good as the next. But, the good news is like customers seem to be very, very eager to come out. So, it's the next weird thing is what's going to happen. Are restaurants going to be slammed because people have been so desperate to come out, or are people still going to be a little scared and tentative and, worried about a second wave? Like, if they said, yeah, you can open up every restaurant full go tomorrow, what percentage of the population is even like ready to take that risk? I don't know. So,
not me personally. Just because it's not that I'm not ready to go out. It's that I'm just like that in life. I'm like, well, you go first and I'll just see and I'll see what happens. That's just how I play the game, right? I don't do anything first, right? If we're going to go do something and if you got to hook me up to a harness, bitch, I ain't going first. There's somebody else going ahead of me. You do it. If things go okay, that rope holds or this holds or what, right? So that's how I look at this. It's like, well, let's just see what happens to the first wave of people that go out, and I'll take it from there. That's sort of my thinking. I don't know. You're right. It's because right now it's at 50%, right? Is that what you said? We're at 50%.
Yeah, 50% is what it stands right now.
Is it going to 75 then 100, or because I haven't read anything on that, or is it just going to straight to 100?
It might go straight to 100. The other thing is like, what is the experience going to be like? Is it still going to be fun if you're surrounded by plexiglass or something and you're getting served by somebody in a surgical mask and, like
great point.
Is that going to be fun for people? Are people going to like look at this and be like, this isn't what it used to be? How long does that all last? I don't know. I imagine restaurants will be able to go, like, even if they say you have to do this, restaurants will just go renegade and not do it anyway. And
of course.
But I don't know. I can't imagine what the experience is going to be like anymore.
Yeah, it's you're right. That's a great point. I saw an article about a restaurant that installed shower curtains around the tables. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ, Yeah. It's, when I go to H-E-B here locally, right? Vanessa and I went to H-E-B yesterday, I believe, and they have the plexiglass all around. It's like you're cashing a check at, one of those fast check places. There's just plexiglass.
Like sliding the money through.
Yeah, exactly. Just like sliding it through the thing. You put it in the drawer. It's literally every register is like that, just all caged around them, and everybody's wearing masks, right? Everybody's whatever. And as far as restaurants go, the Facebook groups I'm a part of, just to stay on top of things, like the pictures people are putting in the post. Everyone's wearing masks, and it's very awkward, and it's very just strange. And really, it's more the tediousness I'm hearing from the staff of like, it's almost it's impossible to do the standards they're asking, to clean after every, you're supposed to wash your hands like if you touch something, right? So there's just not enough stations, and everybody can't get in line, and they're closing off the bathrooms to customers. So it's like, well, how are you supposed to wash your hands? I don't know, dude. It's just a nightmare, right? It's just like you said, it's not a standard experience. So,
and there's a cost associated with every one of those things where,
that's a good point too.
Somebody, I think of times where like people, going back to the to-go thing where like, oh yeah, now I got to box this all up. And, I'm thinking like that box is 50 cents, that cup is, 15 cents. And like all that stuff messes with your percentages. Now you just added a wall of plexiglass and all the sanitizer and wipes and extra people to clean. I don't know. Margins are already thin. Most restaurants weren't built to sustain this sort of business model. So like, do restaurants start to change how they're being designed and built to be more flexible in these situations? I just don't know. I really started cooking full time. It was like 2003. So the cooks that trained me were like the guys that were still in the same restaurant during like the .com bubble, right? Where that burst and went down. Like, it's the first big recession in my life that I remember. And they were talking about like the good old days of like the restaurant just being packed every day of the week, private dining rooms being packed. And it seems like that was a golden era where there was a lot fewer like fine dining, interesting restaurants in the town, and everybody was flush with cash from the .com stocks. Businesses were having crazy dining expending, and pharmaceutical parties 2 times a night. You're turning your PDRs like all the time, and that just doesn't exist anymore, and less so like this time around. So when I look at like big restaurants being built with these private dining rooms, stuff like that, like, is that still going to be a thing that every restaurant needs to have? Like, I think there's too many restaurants with that to support all of that. I think there's a need for more small, flexible restaurants that are small menus, more focus on the craft of what they're doing. Maybe we stop building restaurants that seat 600 people and have 7-page menus. I don't know. I would love to see that to stop happening, but
we should stop that even before this pandemic. Yeah. That's a great point. I mean, you're bringing up, these are all great points. Absolutely, man. I mean, you're right. What do you think about these ghost kitchen ideas? Because I have this theory that I think ghost kitchens are about to blow up right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because of the delivery system, right? I just feel like who's not going to want to just get a little commercial kitchen, throw 10 concepts in it, and you know what I mean?
I think it's very smart adaptation to what the customers are asking for. Because, that was the other thing back in those like 90s, early 2000, like golden days, was a busy lunch. And nobody has a busy lunch hardly anymore. I haven't seen too many of them around town when I go to other restaurants or places I've been working at. It's just never often there. Certain, like, yeah, if you're in the city and you're downtown, maybe you're doing great. But I think most places are still kind of holding on to this like notion of like, yeah, we're gonna be packed for lunch. It's like, no, you're not. Nobody has time. Nobody's got budget. Too many options. All those things keep people from being like super busy in that 1 hour where you all used to just get crushed at lunch. And a lot of places don't anymore.
Yeah.
Because you've got these people that just want delivered food. You get offices just want catered lunch for like the department is a big thing these days, where the admin assistant says, all right, you 10 guys, I'm just going to get you lunch every day of the week. That's one of your perks for working here.
Yep.
You have time to go out, but we'll bring lunch to you. Regular dine-in restaurants, just many of them aren't there yet with that. So the ghost kitchens are really interesting, but are they all operating through Uber Eats and
that's the thing. I mean, that's the thing with them. Like, I just did a podcast right before we spoke about the deliveries, right? About the delivery companies. And, the thing with the ghost kitchen that I like, that I don't like about it. This is what I don't like about it is that, one, they're connected to these delivery companies that I despise, but two, you're getting a concept that's just on paper, right? It's just thrown together. There's no real, like, Joe and Susan built this business, right, from the ground up, and they've been making these things for whatever, and there's a passion and there's a story, right? That's what, when you visit a good restaurant, right, the best thing about it is a story behind it, and there's a passion, there's a reason, there's context. But with these ghost kitchen, it's just Sal's Pizza and Sal's Tacos, Sal's Noodles, Sal's Chinese food. You're like, what? It's just, but it's just food, right? It's just simple dishes thrown together with no passion around it. And I would hate for that to take over and that be what everybody wants to get, instead of, right, the connection that you get. Because the best restaurants you ever worked, what is the big saying that everyone says around the restaurant? We're a family, right? We're a family. So that goes away, right? That is gone.
Yeah, so they're family members. Like, it's just, I guess whoever's cooking, and then maybe somebody to help organize the orders, and that's it. It's just this cold, disconnected.
It's cold disconnect, exactly.
Process, but
Yeah.
The thing with the Uber Eats and the Grubhub and all those guys, they don't make any money. Like Uber Eats, I think they lost $450 million the last quarter.
Yes.
Sooner or later, that model is not going to work. Probably the one way it works is one of them takes over, the others bail out, and then they jack up the prices even more.
Totally.
Either to the customer or to the restaurants. And many restaurants break even at best on those systems. So
that's what I got to tell Uber Eats. Like, hey, welcome to the restaurant industry. It's not profitable, right? Like, welcome to our world. You thought you were going to come in and take over and just get all this money. It's like, you went into the wrong industry if you thought you were gonna, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know how much longer they can sustain.
You're right.
All of that. And to get it sustainable, where's the money going to come out of? Whose pockets is it going to come out of? And then they start charging the customers that much more, then it's going to kill the business that way. So those delivery services, I think, are on a limited timeline. So the ghost kitchen, I don't know, get your own driver or something, then it might work out. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a thing here in Austin called, maybe it's actually all of Texas. I'm not sure. It's called Runner City. And maybe they're using it up in Dallas. But here in Austin, basically, it's just a Facebook group. It's got like 10,000 members or more, actually. It's pretty big. And basically, let's say you want tacos from your favorite food truck, right? You call the food truck, you place an order with them directly, and then you go on the Facebook group and say, hey, I just ordered tacos from blah, blah, blah. This is my address, $10 to deliver it to me. And just some random person I'll do it. And it's just you connect with them. I mean, dude, it's blowing up right now. People are using it like crazy here. And it could be for anything. Hey, I need some, toilet paper and whatever from CVS, please. I need a bottle of tequila from the liquor store. For seniors, it's great. It's kind of how it started. And it was an ex-server and a bartender who were furloughed, right, from working. They put this together and started using service industry members who weren't working right now to be food delivery, right? And just make their own deals with people. Just a personal deal. The restaurant or business gets all the money, right? You're just paying this person to bring it to you, and you work out the deal. Yeah. So and people have been loving it. That maybe that's sort of the way forward with it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we had something up here called Favor. I'm sure that's.
Yeah, we have Favor. That's an Austin company. Favor's an Austin company. Yeah, I actually like Favor, dude. I used Favor at Boca. Well, they use you whether you want to or not, right? Yes. That's the beauty of Favor, is that they pay in the moment. You don't get a tablet from them, right? You don't have to wait 6 weeks to get that check, sort of thing. You pay Favor the 15% of your sales a month later. So they actually wait for the revenue, and it's only 15%. Now, granted, it still seems like a lot, but when you compare that to what Grubhub and Uber Eats are charging, is double or more double than that. I mean, it works out. So yeah, I actually support Favor a lot in Austin, and I've always, the people I know down here that use them, the owners I know down here love Favor too. It's like the only delivery company we like, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we kind of came to the same conclusion as Zaytinya. We didn't want anything to do with Grubhub. They, any of those guys, they never gave us anything approachable. But Favor, was, like you said, it was happening whether you necessarily agreed to it or not. And it was like, it's fine, yeah, great. If that could reach critical mass and get big enough to like support places, then fine, good, go for that.
I think that's the best way to do it, because what I hate about Grubhub, Uber Eats, Postmates, all these companies, right? DoorDash, they got to put their foot in the door of your restaurant, right? Yeah. They got to like be a part of your system. They want a tablet on your counter. They want this, they want that. Like, and I hate that. I hate that they want to get into your system, where that's what I like about, again, you don't even know if Favor order from you sometimes. The guy could come up and not even say nothing. That used to happen to me at Boca all the time. I didn't even know. So I love that, right? I keep doing what I'm doing. Yeah. I'm getting sales from it. It's great. I mean, it's the best. It's like the best of both worlds. But, another point I brought up about the delivery too, and I don't mean to double the content here for our listeners and viewers, but I want to discuss this with you because I'm curious what you think about this. Just because you've worked in, places that have higher ticket sales, right? The price per person is just higher than a, fucking Chipotle burrito. So Like what I hate about the delivery is they charge a percentage as opposed to a flat fee, right? So they're taking, if I got a $50 dish, they're taking a big cut of that when it's the same to deliver a little thing as opposed. Does that make sense? Like I hate that. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. We had ordered some food, and just from a little pizza place around the corner, and I tipped the guy a couple of dollars. And I started thinking about that. If I ordered like 25 pizzas, am I tipping off of the percentage? Like I never do that, but I was just thinking about that. Do I tip off the percentage of the sales? This guy's making the same trip, same drive, same like walk to the door. Like what percentage do you tip in that situation? I think you give him a couple extra, but I don't know. I don't really do all that much delivery ordering under normal circumstances. So yeah, I get the point though. It's like, why would you pay off of the bulk sale when it should be the trip itself? Like that's the expense of the guy driving and the time, not the. But
they want a cut of your sales, literally a cut of your sales, no matter what it is. It's like, don't even get me started again on this. It's like,
if you sell 8-ounce choice steak and an 8-ounce Wagyu steak, it's the same exact process for that guy. He's got nothing to do with the upsell. So
exactly. But Uber wants to take more because of the what? I mean, it is. It's stupid. But again, they want their foot in the door of your business, and I hate that. And because there's so many different businesses, and they all have a tablet, and you got 15 foots in the door, right? It's like, God, dude, at Boca at one point, it was like there were just so many tablets, and I'm in a food trailer, so I don't have the space even that a restaurant has.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, dude. I mean, I literally just threw them away one day. I mean, I'm done using these. They're in the trash now. They don't even get. I'm sorry, but I just only have the. There's so many problems with them. I mean, it's just a nightmare and keep track of them all, keep them charged, keep them plugged in, keep them all connected to Wi-Fi. I'm like, fuck, man, my Wi-Fi isn't that strong. I can spread it out between all these, tab. I need to make sure my POS is working and going through, my Square or whatever, because they'll do these background things going to apps working and pulling information and GPS, all this other shady stuff that they got going on. So yeah, man, it's just a nightmare right now for restaurants and having to deal with all of this. It's killing me, man.
Yeah, that situation seems very I don't know, parasitic is, I don't know if that's the right word. It's just something draining you, and it's not even really helping you in a lot of cases. So yeah, who knows what's next? I don't know, like what lessons we'll learn, what dining will look like, what new trends will emerge from all of this. Because like these are the moments where new trends tend to come into effect, right? Like
they will, right? Like some of these trends will stick around. I'm with you. I'm curious what they'll be. Have you seen the grocery store things happen? Like where they're putting like, little markets in their dining rooms of the restaurants? Because they're doing that here in Austin. Have you seen that in Dallas?
Oh, I haven't seen too much. There's a few restaurants that are doing like these kind of like a farmer box sort of things where like, hey, come here and Chef's Warehouse will give you, or Chef's Produce will give you like a box of like an assortment of stuff. The little farm stand things, I've always liked that idea. There's been very few places that I know that have done it sustainably here. There was Bolsa was doing that for a while.
Oh,
actually, really? I think they were doing more like a if I remember when they first opened up, it was like a crop share agreement pickup location, right? So that's like where the name Bolsa came from. Is that you would come and you'd get like your bag of like your
I didn't know that.
From the farm.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they continued to do that, but there was like a wall there where they had that going for a while.
I always wondered why they called it Bolsa. I was like, why is it called bag? Bag of what? Like, that makes sense now. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, I think that was the origin. I'm guessing that was the origin of the name, but yeah,
makes sense.
But not too many like historically have done that here. I think most restaurants here look at that as like lost dining space, and they're very
totally
calculated about how they want to do these things. Where like they're not thinking their customers are looking for some farm to table ingredients to take home. That's not Dallas.
Yeah. That's so true. That's so true.
They're the thing, and like most of the Dallas customers are eating out like 6 nights a week and ordering in the seventh.
That's hilarious. That's so true. Yeah, Austin. It's excuse me, not a COVID cough. I promise. But Austin. Yeah, a lot of hippies here. So there's a lot of that. There's all kinds of. Yeah. I'm just seeing a lot of different things here in Austin, right? There's like this restaurant's doing this restaurant's doing that, they're doing this. There's like all kinds of. Look, I get it. Everyone's just trying something, right? People are just like, they're frustrated. They just don't know what to do. So it's like, how do I pivot? How do I adapt? What can I do to bring in revenue, right? What can I do to bring in money right now? And yeah, it's, I definitely think delivery and curbside will become the best it's ever been moving forward. Hopefully, right? Now, as far as the companies go in that, I don't know, but I just mean the way restaurants start boxing stuff up. I mean, your system has to get good after a little bit, right? I mean, and it's all you're concentrating on, right? Because as a restaurant, it's not like you had an opportunity to stop everything and let's just focus on delivery for a week, guys, right? That can never happen. It always had to be something on the side. You're giving little meetings, little pre-shifts. Hey, this is what we're doing. Use this box for this. But now everyone got to completely focus on it, have meetings, right? I mean, lay out the groundwork. Yeah. And so I think moving forward, delivery, curbside to go will be the best it's ever been. Hopefully with the companies that gets worked out on its own. But, and apart from that, I do think some of the deconstructed meals will stick around, to be honest with you. I think that might stick around. But other than that, I'm with you on the dining room sort of market deal. I don't see that really sticking around. I think that was a temporary thing that restaurants had a lot of perishables that were going to go bad. And so they're like, screw it. Let's just put the tomatoes out, put this out, put everything out and let people just bag it up and take it home and like a little grocery store. 'Cause at that time too, our grocery stores were being sort of pulled, left and right. We don't have the same amount of grocery stores in Austin that y'all have in Dallas. Now, granted, we don't have the same population either, but I definitely was seeing aisles completely empty. I mean, just, meat shelves gone, noodles, canned goods, bread, dairy. I mean, it looked, apocalyptic, dude. It was crazy. And it lasted a couple weeks and it did have me worried. I'm not going to lie. I was a little worried, but it immediately, H-E-B is just like the greatest, conglomerate that I love. Like, honestly, like a big company. I just love H-E-B. I know they're a huge chain, but they just lean into helping the community so much. I wish that y'all had H-E-B up in Dallas, man. Like, it's kills me.
We have the Central Market here.
Central Market, which is, I know it's the same company, but it's not the same. You go to an H-E-B. H-E-B is just special, man. It's just special.
Yeah. Josh, living in Austin for years, always loved H-E-B. And like when we moved our house, we were up in Plano, and when we moved, we're like, let's get a little closer to Central Market because like that's where we always go to shop.
Yeah,
we love that place.
I love Central Market too.
That and the Asian markets, which I think too, which are great. But for whatever reason, like we barely had any issues. H-E-B was really good with rationing things out and limiting people on what they could buy. That was the first place I knew of that was like, you come in, you can get 3 like packages of chicken. Like you can't get.
It's still like that actually right now. Wow. You go to the meat site, it says that you can't get more than I think it is 3 actually. 3 of everything, dude. I'm talking all the beef, all the pork, all the chicken. Even the stuff that's like pre where they like take meat and they'll like, oh, we fajita meat that's got all the spicing on it, right, and everything. Even that stuff is 3. Everything's limited to 3 as well. It's the bread is still limited. Toilet paper, paper towels, milk, eggs. That's pretty much it. Like everything else is pretty open. Like you can get.
I feel like for at least the last month, it's been pretty much business as usual at the grocery store, other than like the spacing and whatnot that they try to do. Here, I guess we've gotten pretty lucky with what we have here. They do make you kind of like line up and time you out before you go in. There's like a line at the door that moves pretty quickly, but yeah, no, it's been all right. They haven't rationed much here at first, but everybody else wasn't, you know. So if you were one of those people that was going to Walmart and it was just like everything was blown out, you know, because people wouldn't stop buying whatever, and there was no limits to it. Yeah, HEB was the first one I saw to react to that. So
yeah, 100%. And they did. And to be honest, I supplement. So yes, I buy from HEB, and I know I'm always on the podcast telling everybody support local, buy from farms, I do. Okay. So like I do half and half basically. So I buy these farm boxes, but I also supplement with HEB, which is, look, I've talked to lots of farmers. That's what farmers told me to do. They're like, look, I get it. You don't want to just make the price is higher. Like I get it. So just do half and half, just supplement. Buy some stuff from me, but I get it. You still want to go to HEB and get your stuff. Like they're like, dude, I go to HEB. I mean, that's what the farmer told me. Like, yeah, I go to HEB. It's like, okay, cool. So like, you know, that's another good thing right now that if you are feeling a stretch or wherever you are in Texas, you know, if there is some sort of you know, limit or wherever you're shopping, you know, look at the local places around you and farmers. They are not having any issues at all, and they're selling everything, and they're doing great right now. So, you know, that's my recommendation to people, kind of if they can do both, you know, both, you know, because they're having no issues. Their supply is heavy. Their sales are up. They're rocking. They got the best product going right now. Honestly, this is the greatest thing to ever happen to farmers. They'll tell you that, right? They will tell you that. This is the greatest thing to ever happen to them. Their sales are through the roof. You know, I was talking to a guy the other day. He's like, I'm buying a pool. You know, like, I'm getting a pool. You know, Jenny, we're getting an in-ground pool. No more of that above ground. Like, okay, great. Like, they're just loving it, man. And I'm happy for them, man. I'm just super happy for these people because they felt like they've had a foot on their neck for so long. And, yeah, that's what I think will stick around the most.
Hopefully.
Will be that supply. But even for restaurants, right? Even the way restaurants get their food, right? Their sourcing, I think, will completely change. I think we'll start to see places using the local farmers more and getting meat from them. It was just going to make it better for everyone. And that is one positive I'm happy about, because like I said, some of the farmers I talked to, they said, yeah, we're getting reached out to by restaurants and stuff now, because they will be able to actually have a more consistent, chain, right? Like, in a restaurant, like when you order, you have stuff on the menu. So like when I order halloumi cheese, I need halloumi cheese. Like you can't tell me it's not coming. Like I got a whole thing, right? So like the way they're setting up their supplies, I guess that's their sort of crutch. Is like, look, we'll make sure we have what you want, right? And we'll deliver, and we're right here. You don't need to call somebody out. You don't have to go through 10 people to get to the person that provides the food. I'm literally the person that, gets this food for you. So, really, really, really interested about that. And another cool thing, I talked to this guy called, he runs this company called Cultivate. His name is Nathan Heath, and his episode actually went out today. And he was a farmer here locally in Austin that provided produce to all the best places here in Austin, dude. Olame, Emmer and Rye, right? Like all these places. And he decided what he was going to do is create these farm boxes, like garden boxes for people, but also for restaurants. So like Olame is getting 2 installed at their restaurant. And that's what I want to see happen, where all these restaurants start installing these garden boxes that they maintain. So Nathan's idea is that we'll maintain it for you. We'll show up, but you get the fruit of our labor, if you will, like from it. We'll cultivate it. That's what it's called, cultivatetex.com. The company's called Cultivate, but that's the website. Super great idea, dude. I think that could do really well. At least in Austin, you're going to see, once a chef like from Olame and Emmer, right, they start to do it, these other places, Odd Duck, right, they just jump on board and they start doing stuff. So that could be really cool,
That's great stuff. I've often wished I could have something like that in the restaurants. We used to get these we work with the local farm to give us like living trays of baby greens and stuff like that. And at Zaytinya, I had this huge, wonderful expo counter, so I'd have this stuff up there, and like that was the thing that people wanted to come up and talk to me about. Like people love the open kitchens, but they see like the produce, and it was just like people just come right up to the line to see what is this that you're clipping like right here? It's like, it's alive right here on the shelf. And, that looks great. That's a good look for restaurants. And, hopefully that's something that we do learn from this as we see like these disruptions in the food supply chain. And we see, Tyson's getting shut down because every single person in there has COVID. You start to like wonder, shouldn't we just be better off getting it from a local farmer? And
yes, we should.
Maybe we get some more farmers going. And there's some good groups up here of farmers, mostly centered around Profound Microgreens, if you're familiar with them. And they do this deal where they have set up a website where you can order from them and like 10 other farms, and they bring you like the basket. So you don't have to call up like, all right, I'm going to get my milk from this guy. I'm going to get cheese from that guy. I'm going to get my chicken from there. I'm going to get my carrots. It's like,
that's great.
Like a one-stop shop. And they,
that's the future.
That's one of the things that, keeps people from doing it, is like, oh, it's such a hassle. I got to make 12 calls to get 12 things,
Totally.
So that really helps, make it fit to what a chef is used to doing most of the time.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point. Absolutely. You got to make all those calls to the different places, and it's a hassle. And I get it. Like, I get it. And, talking to the farmers, they get it too. They want to make it easy for you too. They don't want you to have to change your whole life, right, to adapt to them. Like, they're willing to meet you where you are. So I really that's the idea behind Farm to Table TX as well. Now, granted, before the pandemic, they did not sell to the public. They only sold to restaurants. Now, and again, it was from all the different farms right here in the Hill Country, right? They're just pulling, and I guess from all around Texas, but mainly the Hill Country. And now they sell direct to consumer, right? You can go on their website and get a farm box and get, like you said, from all the different farms. I got goat cheese, I got meats, and that's what I get. I love it, because I get a mix of it. Even comes with drinks. I even get some locally made sparkling water and kombucha, right? Like, it's great, man. I get everything I need. And again, I go to H-E-B and supplement some other stuff that I can't get from them, other things that I can't get for them, or just budget wise. It is expensive. It does cost more, but the more we use them, the more, these systems get put in place. Guess what'll happen? The price will go down. Not to what you're used to paying, but there's a cost to paying $1.99 for a pound of ground beef. Okay. Yeah. It came from 2,000 different cows. It's literally a mix of like you buy ground beef from your local, whatever, it's one cow, right? George sacrificed his life for you, and now you get to eat George, a pound of George, right? I'm okay with knowing that. I prefer that. Like, I'm the way they take care of their animals, right? They're just normal animals until the day they're chopped up and eaten, but at least they get to live this normal life, and they're grateful for them, right? And the meat that they provide. And I mean, there's just so many, it's a long line of things. To be honest with you, man, I'm trying to get Joel Salatin on the podcast. So we're really close. He was just on Joe Rogan last night, and we're trying to get him. I had one of his apprentices on the podcast. So I guess Joel only takes 2 apprentices a year, and I had one of them on. His name is Jordan Green. Great podcast. Great guy. He's up in Virginia, actually, just doing amazing things, man. So yeah, I'd really love to get Joel Salatin on to talk about this movement, that we can sort of make a pivot to local sourcing. Right now is the time for it to happen, because once things sort of get put in place, it's really hard to change them, And right now and I'm not, God, I hate to, it sounds very cold-hearted, but right now that the chains are broken and these things, it's the best time to step in and change it up, do I feel bad? There's a lot of people that have those jobs and stuff. There's got to be a way to sort of transition them, right? I mean, it's like people that worked in coal, right? We got to find a way to get them into something else. I'm
sorry, coal is coming back, I thought.
Yeah. That's what the blacksmith said, right? Totally. Yeah.
I used to be able to get Joel Salatin's stuff in DC when I was first coming up as a chef. His stuff
from Polyface
Market.
Come from Polyface. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Oh man. I missed that stuff. That stuff is great. He's a legend, and like his system makes so much sense. And
Yep. Regenerative agriculture. That's the new term to remember right now. And the way that this other guy that I talked to, Travis Krause, who owns the Parker Creek Ranch, he told me like that's basically what organic used to mean 10 years ago. So that's the new term that they're trying to take a hold because they don't want to use organic. That means nothing to them now. It literally means jack shit to those guys. They hate the term, in fact. So their thing is regenerative agriculture and what does that mean? And I just want that to stick in people's mind. And that needs to be something that we can, and it's totally possible. That's the great thing about it. It's not some crazy plan or crazy idea and it can't happen. And it's like totally plausible, totally easy. We would all be healthier, better food. I mean, there's just such a less killing actually. There'd actually be less animals dying for all those vegan lovers out there, right? Like there's actually less animals dying by doing it this way. Less crazy crops that need to be grown, that all these, small animals die, right? The little rats, the little mice, the field mice, the little birds, right? It just loss of life is so intense with these factory farming and the way they set up these things. So man, it's, again, my thing is just right now is such a great time to pivot and, make a move and do something. And, I know it's a tough time, but this is where opportunities sprout from, right? Or these tough moments. So.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to see more and more farms like that. I think most people, if they said they're going to be a farmer right now, that means they're growing corn and soybeans only or whatever. It's not like when I read my son a storybook about what a farm looks like, that's like what Joel is talking about. That's what it looks like. But in reality, they rarely look like childbooks, storybook scenario.
Totally. They're not farmers. They're real estate developers. That's what one of this other farmer told me. He's like, those guys aren't farmers. They're real estate developers. They just have the real estate and they just run that shit. There's no care in the world really. But look, I really appreciate your time, John. I know we've talked a lot, but I'm going to end on one funny thing that Joel Salatin does to help his immune system during this time. Okay. Because, it is a good point right now to have a good immune system, right? With everything going on and obviously eating and keeping your health is a way to do that. So this is something that he does, which I found super interesting. He drinks water out of the cow's trough, like where they drink water from, every day. He said he hasn't been sick in 20 years. So he said that's how he boosts his immune system. He said everyone at his farm laughs at him, right? All the people he works with, they just laugh at him. He says, but I haven't been sick in 20 years. I drink the water with the cows. So if your neighbor's got any cows, you see them drink out of some water, maybe give a little sip. I don't know. Don't be drinking out of storage drains or whatever they're called. Storage drains, not storm drains. Be careful, but definitely, focus on your immune system, right? That's what I want to end on. I want people to focus on their immune system and try to stay healthy out there. But I thought that was funny. Anyway.
Yeah.
That was crazy. So
that's great.
But again, man, thank you so much, John, for joining us and just giving us your insight on everything. And, really appreciate it, talking about all this stuff. And look, good luck with Yardbird and everything happening with that, man. I wish you the best that's, able to go well.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you letting me come on here. It's always great to chat with you. Always have a good time kicking it with you.
All right. I really hope you enjoyed that podcast as much as I did. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to email the podcast at patrick@texasrealfood.com. And don't forget, you can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, all the different places you can get podcasts. You'll find us on there. Or you can just go to our website, go to thelonestarplate.com. And you can find everything you need there, all the episodes. And you can check us out on YouTube if you want to watch it. We video these now, on a little webcam here and do the Zoom stuff. And, so if you feel like doing it that way, go to the Texas Real Food YouTube channel and you can find it there. Make sure to follow Texas Real Food as well on Instagram and Facebook. Subscribe. And if you, are so inclined, please leave us a review anywhere you can. follow us on Spotify or leave a review on Apple Podcast. That would really help us out as well. So if you support, what we're trying to do here. So thanks again for listening. Really do appreciate it. Without you guys, what's the point of doing this? So if you have any suggestions on how we can make the show better, please let us know. All right. Thanks again. Be safe out there. Wash your hands.